Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and a couple of days ago I did a video where I compared Infinity Ward to Treyarch and basically all of their head-to-head matchups, right? If we take all the games that came out back-to-back like Call of Duty 4 versus World at War, Modern Warfare 2 versus Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3 versus Black Ops 2, so on and so forth, all the way down the line, just basically trying to compare Infinity Ward to Treyarch and just debate the merits of the different games that came out and try to see who is the better developer. Well, a couple of days ago, a fellow content creator of mine put out a tweet that was honestly so mind-blowing. This is all information that I knew, but it was so mind-blowing that I had to make an entire video on it, which is what we're going to be doing here today. Treyarch is basically like the whipping boy of the COD franchise, but before we get into that, I would like to take some time to thank today's sponsor. This video is being brought to you by the Ridge Wallet, the makers of the finest wallets, key cases, and rings out there. About 6 months ago, Ridge reached out to me, and given I was in the market for a new wallet, I decided to try them out, and here we are 6 months later, and I have nothing but good things to say about my wallet as well as this company. The Ridge Wallet itself holds up to 12 cards and cash without ever getting bulky. You barely even notice this thing in your pocket, and sliding cards out at the register is much faster and much more convenient than a traditional wallet ever was. There are over 30 styles to choose from on their website, so head over to ridge.com/Nero and use coupon code Nero for 10% off your purchase. Ridge also has unique key cases which securely hold up to 6 keys, and you can get quite the deal when bundling a key case and a wallet together. So whether you're looking for a new wallet, you got tired of your old bulky one, or maybe you just want to see why over 3 million people have made the switch over to Ridge, head on over to ridge.com/Nero to get started and use coupon code Nero for 10% off at checkout. Thank you once again to Ridge for sponsoring this video. Alright, so the tweet we're talking about here is going to be coming from Pro Reborn. This guy I've been following for a while. He's actually streaming over on Kick now. If you guys want to check him out, I'll put a link to him down there in the description. He puts out this tweet, right? Treyarch always getting railed. Campaign scrapped in Black Ops 4. Cold War pushed forward a year. Blackout 2 canned months before launch. Forced to switch to the Infinity Ward engine. Forced to do Vanguard Zombies. Forced to do Modern Warfare 2 Ranked. I'm probably missing something. I'm sure he is. But just off the top of my head, like, I knew about all these things, so when you put them all together in a list like that, it's kind of crazy. So let's just go through here one by one. So Black Ops 4, as you guys know, did not have a campaign, or it never launched for the campaign. And in fact, they actually lied to us. They straight up lied, saying the campaign was like never really intended for the game. But then I put out a video because we got some leaked footage of the early concepts of the campaign. Like, there was going to be a campaign. The leaked footage, if you guys recall, was on Seaside. Like, they took the multiplayer map and kind of revamped it for single player. And then Activision took down that video because you're not supposed to see that. That never happened. So yeah, they had their campaign scrapped, and then we had those specialist missions in Black Ops 4, which were solid, I guess. I mean, I was reading and watching some of these different videos and articles about the campaign. There's some messed up stuff in there, like what's her name, Savannah Mason. She's the one that started like the Blackout project, and then she like resurrected Woods and they started banging or something. It was weird, right? It just, I love Treyarch, but man, their campaigns go off the rails. They really do. And of course, it was scrapped in Black Ops 4. Next up here, Cold War was pushed forward a year. As you guys all remember, initially that game, Black Ops Cold War, was not supposed to happen. It was going to be a different Cold War themed game developed by Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software, but leaks and rumors, industry insiders, and all of that, they kept telling us that production was horrible. The two studios could not agree on one unified vision, and there was a lot of internal fighting. And then Activision had to step in, appoint Treyarch as the new head of the game. Treyarch was already working on their own thing, but they had to stop and put that on the back burner to basically go save Sledgehammer and Raven's game. And lo and behold, that turned out into being Black Ops Cold War. And speaking of Black Ops Cold War, Blackout 2. I mean, here's going to be some footage. I put footage of this on YouTube a long time ago, and apparently there were no copyright issues. This was going to be the Ural Mountains map. You guys may recall that name way back in Black Ops Cold War. There was initially going to be a full-fledged battle royale, like a Warzone kind of game that was going to be part of Black Ops Cold War, but it ended up being scrapped because they wanted to just have Warzone be its own thing and just not have competing battle royales, I suppose, within the Call of Duty genre. So there's an entire map. I'm not sure if I'm actually able to show images of the map. I'll put a link to it in the description if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, they full-on planned for like this Blackout 2 And then that got canned, and they weren't allowed to do that, and instead they ended up giving us like Fireteam, Dirty Bomb, and stuff like that, which had some promise for sure. It kind of felt like Blackout 2 in some respects, but it just wasn't quite the same experience that we were hoping we were going to get. Moving on here, they were forced to switch to the Infinity Ward engine, so a bit of a history lesson is way back when, like, the Infinity Ward engine was everything, and when Call of Duty 4 came out in 2007, like, that was like the peak of what they could do, right? And so when it came time for Treyarch to make their next game, they took the Infinity Ward engine from Call of Duty 4 and they modded it and tweaked it a little bit, and that's what became the engine that was used for World at War. But Infinity Ward kept on using their own engine, right? So what ended up happening was, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, that was all like Infinity Ward's engine, and then World at War, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 2, like that was all like the Treyarch engine essentially. They had two separate things. That's why Treyarch games always felt a little bit different. I would also say, especially back when World at War, Black Ops 1, and things, hit detection just never felt quite as good as what it did for the Infinity Ward games, but still, they had like their own proper engine that they were used to working on and things like that. And now with the unified systems that Activision is trying to implement where all the different studios work together, now Treyarch has to abandon their own engines and now work with the Infinity Ward one, which makes their games kind of feel a lot more samey as compared to having a very similar feel, but that own little secret sauce, you know what I mean? Like Black Ops Cold War felt very similar to Modern Warfare 2019, and whatever we get in 2024 with Treyarch, it's presumably going to be Black Ops 5. It's going to feel very similar to what we have here in Modern Warfare 2. Like, it's just everything's on the Infinity Ward engine now. Treyarch can't work on their own engines anymore. They were forced to do Vanguard Zombies, which this one doesn't even need an explanation. Vanguard Zombies was a complete and total abomination. Honestly, it makes me wonder, like, what's going on at Treyarch. Like, if they were conscripted into working on this, you would think it'd be a better product than what we had at launch. It wasn't until they eventually gave us round-based zombies with Shino Numa that Zombies fans were mildly happy, but in general, Vanguard Zombies was an absolute abomination, and I have to wonder if it's because Treyarch was working on their own zombies for their own game, and they had to put like a B team on Vanguard just to hopefully do something with the third game mode for that game, because it was just such a train wreck from the very beginning. I don't know. And then, of course, Modern Warfare 2 Ranked. What's funny to me about Modern Warfare 2 Ranked is a lot of people seem to enjoy it. Apparently, hacking and issues and stuff like that are still very prevalent. I mean, Team Rico chat just isn't quite doing what they said they were going to do. But when you look at Ranked, it's actually kind of nutty to me because there's so many rewards for playing Ranked. Like, there's more progression and like things for you to unlock and things for you to work towards in Ranked than there is the actual normal multiplayer. And lo and behold, guess who's taking care of Ranked? It was Treyarch, not Infinity Ward. So it's just kind of crazy when you look at it like that, man. In my opinion, and a lot of you agreed on my previous video, some disagreed, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions here. Everyone has a different idea of what is good versus what is bad. But in general, of like all the head-to-head matchups between Infinity Ward and Treyarch, I had Treyarch winning 4-1, which is not a very good look for Infinity Ward, at least from my perspective, right? I thought Call of Duty 4 was better than World at War, but aside from that, I think Treyarch won virtually every single matchup. And what's crazy to me is just going back to the tweet there, Treyarch has so much opposition all the time. They're always like, it's like Activision knows like they're the best studio, therefore they get worked to the bone. Like they're burning the midnight oil, trying to like make these games and make other people's games for them. Meanwhile, it doesn't seem like Infinity Ward is doing any of that. It doesn't seem like, I mean, initially Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software were more or less supplemental, companies, which I think they kind of still are to this day. But, Sledgehammer killed it when they helped out with Modern Warfare 3. Advanced Warfare, call it what you want. I mean, Advanced Warfare had a lot of issues, but at least it had some interesting ideas, customizable kill streaks, dynamic maps that would change and things like that. Like Advanced Warfare, especially for being the first ever advanced movement game, was not like the worst thing in the world. And then Call of Duty World War II was like a top 5 COD in my opinion. Like World War II was awesome. And then after that, again, reportedly they were working on their own game with Raven Software and they just couldn't do it. And then they had to make Vanguard, and then that just turned out awful. And so I'm like, well, what's going on over there with Sledgehammer? The Sledgehammer seemingly does not have like nearly the amount of like leaps and hurdles that they have to go through like Treyarch does. Yet Treyarch puts out a solid product every time. But now, before we could kind of like rely on Sledgehammer to put out a good product, but now it's like I don't even know. Like COD 2023 apparently is going to be a Modern Warfare themed game made by Sledgehammer. I mean, that is the most like up in the air COD ever. Like, we have no clue what we're going to be getting. Man, it could be great. It could be god awful. I'm leaning towards awful, honestly, but we'll have to see how it goes. And then Infinity Ward, I mean, Infinity Ward, ever since they had to rebuild back in 2010, they just haven't been the same, man. And you know, sometimes they come up with some cool ideas, and sometimes they do some good things, but in general, like, Infinity Ward seems to be like the favorite, like the golden child of Activision. Like, it seems like they never have to like go out of their way for these extra projects. I mean, it's never Infinity Ward coming in to save anyone. It's never Infinity Ward putting in all the extra work to handle zombies in Treyarch's game or handle ranked play in Treyarch's game. It's always the opposite. You know, I mean, Treyarch's the one that has to help everyone else, yet it seems like Infinity Ward's like the poster child of the COD series because of Warzone. It's crazy, right? Like, they definitely don't get the respect they deserve, I don't think. And I think Infinity Ward gets way too much credit. You know, it's kind of like, what's that old expression, like coaches in sports and stuff like that? It's kind of like politicians. When things are going terrible, they get too much blame. When things are going good, they get too much credit. I think that's kind of what's happening with Infinity Ward and Treyarch right now. But just when I saw that tweet, I mean, it was a great tweet, and it just inspired this whole discussion I wanted to have with you guys here today. So I would love to hear what you guys think down there in the comments. Do you think that Treyarch is basically like the whipping child of the Call of Duty scene and they don't get nearly the credit that they deserve? Or do you think maybe we're just putting them on too high of a pedestal and that the other studios were trying just as much? Because again, when you just break it down based on what we know, and of course we don't know everything because we're not on the inside of Activision or anything, but based on what we know and how things have transpired over the last decade, it seems like Treyarch has to do everything for not only their games, but for like everyone else's games as well. Meanwhile, the other studios barely put in any effort and then they still get all the credit. Like, it's kind of nuts if you think about it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all for this video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.